All right, welcome back, and we are still in Unit 6, Plane Geometry of our ACT Prep Review, and we're on Day 11, Geometry in 3 Dimensions. So, space occupies 3 dimensions and extends infinitely in all directions. Volume is a measure of how much space a 3-dimensional figure takes up. The surface area of a 3-dimensional figure is the total area occupied by the surface of the figure. Volume is expressed in cubic units, and surface area is expressed in square units. Given on the next page are some 3-dimensional figures with formulas for surface area and volume that you really need to just have memorized. One thing I do want to add is when you're told to find the volume of something that isn't necessarily one of the figures that we are going to show you today, you can always find the area of the base. In other words, whatever the object is sitting on, that shape, and then multiply it by the height. So if it's an object that you don't necessarily recognize or doesn't have a formula per se, you can always just look at the shape and take the area of the base times its height. Okay, so the first shape we're going to look at is a rectangular prism. A rectangular prism has 6 rectangular faces. You have the top and the bottom. And I don't know if that's going to help you see it. Then you have this front side and this back side. And you have this side and this side. And there's your 6 sides. And then you have the top and the bottom. So when you find a surface area, you're basically finding the area of each of the sides and adding them up. Well, there's your top, okay, and your bottom and your top. There would be a length times a width, and that would get you the area. Let me erase all this. If I take the length times the width, that's going to be the area of that bottom piece, and it'll also be the area of the top piece. So there's 2 of the length times width, because that's the top and the bottom. Then, that's this one, length times width. Then, if you have your length times height, that would be this times this, which would be this side. And there's another one, so there's where you have 2 length times height. And then you have height times width, and that's going to give you, let me see if I can get a different color here. My height times my width is my area of this side, and there's 2 of them because of the back side. So there's where your 2 HWs come in. So if you have a rectangular prism, you take the length times the height, the length times the width, the height times the width, add them up, and then multiply by 2. Okay, the volume, again, is the product of the length, width, and height, because, again, if you remember my little saying there, if you take the area of the base, which would be that rectangle at the bottom, and then multiply it by the height. Well, the area of that base would be length times width, and then times height. So there's where they come up with the volume for the rectangular prism. So in our example here, it says, find the surface area and the volume of the rectangular prism above. Well, my surface area is going to be 2 times length times height, plus length times width, plus height times width. So I'm going to have 2 times, my length is 8, my height is 3, well, depending on how you look at it. No, that's my length times my width. Sorry, I'm doing it in the wrong order. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. Okay, so my length times my height would be 8 times 4, plus my length times my width would be 8 times 3, plus my height times my width would be 4 times 3. So if I do that, I get 2 times 32 plus 24 plus 12, and I get 2 times 68, which gives me 136. And then again, when we're finding surface area, your units are always squared. It's not 136 squared, it's the centimeters. The units are squared because you're taking centimeters times centimeters. Okay, to find the volume, it's just length times width times height. Well, that's going to give me 8 times 3 times 4, which gives me a volume of 96. And when we're doing volume, your units are cubed. Okay, there's your rectangular prism. Next, we're going to talk about a cube. A cube is a special rectangular prism whose faces are all identical squares. So a cube has 6 faces, but each face, because it's a square, is just side times side. So there's one surface, okay, and there's 6 of them that are all the same. So it's 6s squared. When you have a cube meaning that all faces are identical squares. Okay, so then the length, the width, and the height are all equal, so the volume is side cubed. So it says, what are the surface area and volume of a cube with side length of 5 centimeters? So if I come back up here, that means this is 5, this is 5, and this is 5. Well, my surface area, because I know it's a cube, is 6 times a side cubed. Well, that's going to be, squared. My bad. So that's going to be 6 times 25, which is going to give me 150, and we're in centimeters, and surface area is units squared. My volume is just going to be my side cubed, which is going to give me a volume of 125 centimeters cubed. There's your cube. Alright, a cylinder is formed by 2 congruent parallel circular bases with radius r connected by a rectangular face with a height of h. And it's hard to picture that rectangular face, but if you could picture the top and then you cut it, that rectangle would roll out from here and there'd be another circle on this end. Alright, but there's that rectangle. If you can picture this rolling back up and coming back together and sticking together, this thing would be put back together. So your surface area is going to be 2 pi r squared, because to find the area of this circle, it's pi r squared. To find the area of this circle, it's pi r squared, where it's the same circle, so there's 2 circles. And then we have this rectangle, and it says the length of the rectangle is equal to one of the circumferences of the, in other words, here's my length times my width. That would be the area of that rectangle. But this length, again, when it rolls back together and comes back and connects here on this side, this rectangle is wrapped around this circle. So in other words, the length of this rectangle is the circumference of this circle, which is 2 pi r. So there's the length, and then my width is the same as the height of my cylinder. Okay, so that's where this formula comes from. And then the volume is, again, the area of the base times the height. And they're calling this h instead of w. But so the area of my base was the circle times my height. Okay. And I don't know why they didn't give me an example on the cylinder, but they didn't. All right, a sphere. A sphere is all points a given distance, which is the radius r, from a center point. Your surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. And honestly, I can't really tell you how that was derived. Your volume is 4/3 pi radius cubed. Again, I'm sorry, I can't really tell you where that formula was derived from, but those are your formulas that you need to memorize for a sphere. So example, to the nearest tenth, what are the surface area and volume of a sphere with a radius of 4? And they want me to use 3.14 for pi. Well, my surface area is going to be 4 pi r squared. So it's going to be 4 times 3.14 times my radius, which they told me was 4, squared. If you type all that in, you get 200.96, and surface area is units squared. So there's my surface area. My volume is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. So that's going to be 4/3 times 3.14 times 4 cubed. And that, if you type it all in, is going to give you 267.946 repeating. And they want us to the nearest tenth, so that 4 won't bump it up. That's going to give me a volume of 267.9, and my units are centimeters, and volume is always cubed. Okay, and there's your sphere. We have a cone. A cone consists of a circular base with a radius r and a single vertex, a fixed height from the center of the base. That would be your vertex there. Okay, your volume, the formula for volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. So for my example, it says to the nearest tenth, what is the volume of a cone with a radius of 3 and a height of 6? Well, volume is 1/3 times pi, which they want me to use 3.14, times my radius squared times my height of 6. And if you type all that in, you get 56.52, and that will be centimeters. Volume is always cubed. Okay? A square pyramid. A square pyramid has a square base, which means sides are all equal, and 4 congruent triangle sides. So your surface area is going to be the sum of the areas of the faces of the pyramid. Note that h above does not provide the heights of the triangle. This h here is the height of the pyramid. You would have to know the height of the triangle. Okay? So those measurements must be taken along at the outside of the pyramid. So my surface area, I don't know why they didn't really give me a formula here, but, I guess because it depends on what the measurements are, but your surface area is you're going to have those 4 triangle faces plus the area of the base. Well, your triangle, each triangle is base times height over 2, plus the area of the square is the length times the width, or the base times the height, I should say. Well, let's call it length times width. So there's my surface area. My volume is 1/3 big B. Now they didn't put little b, they put big B. And what the big B stands for is the area of the base, like I told you before. Volume is area of the base. So if you found the area of that square and then multiplied it by the height of the pyramid, not the height of the triangle, the height of the pyramid, then you will get the volume of your square pyramid. Okay, and again, I don't really know why they didn't give us an example for that. So try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 4. It says if the surface area of a cube, so I'm going to automatically go get my formula for surface area of a cube, which is 6 times the side squared. And it says the area is 96 centimeters squared. What is the length of each side of a cube? Well, they're telling me the surface area is 96. So I replace this with 96 equals 6s squared. To get s alone, I'm going to divide by 6, which gives me s squared equals 16 square root. And I get the side length is plus or minus 4, but negative 4 doesn't make any sense, so it's got to be positive 4 centimeters. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 5. It says, what is the radius of a sphere with a volume of 500 pi over 3? Well, volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. They're telling me what the volume is, so I'm replacing this with 500 pi over 3 equals 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. Don't convert your pi's, because I notice in my answer there's pi's, which tells me that whatever they did, they left it in terms of pi. So they want the radius, so my job is to get r alone. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is kill the fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. This is a product, so you just need to multiply this product one time by 3. Well, that kills that, and that kills that, so now I have 500 pi equals 4 pi r cubed. Now, to get my r alone, I'm going to divide by 4 pi, divide by 4 pi. That cancels, and I get 125 equals r cubed. So now, to kill the cube, I'm going to take the cube root, and I get r equals 5. Okay? Okay. So let's do some practice here. It says use 3.14 for pi and round your answers to the nearest 10. Number 1 says, what is the surface area of a sphere with a radius of 5? And I put your formulas here. But please remember, in the ACT, they're not going to be nice enough to stick the formulas on the side of the paper. You're going to have these things memorized. But my surface area formula is 4 pi r squared, so my surface area is going to be 4 times, I'm going to use 3.14, times 3.14 times my radius squared. Type all that in and you get 314 centimeters squared. Okay, 2, what is the length of each side of a cube? So I put my little cube formulas here, but again, remember ACT is not going to be that nice. They want the length of each side of a cube if the volume is 729 centimeters cubed. Well, your volume of a cube is your side cubed. They gave me the volume is 729 equals side cubed. So to figure out what each side is, I'm going to take the cube root, and I get each side is equal to 9 centimeters. Okay? Alright, number 3, what is the length of a rectangular prism with a volume of 576 centimeters cubed, a height of 6 centimeters, and a width of 8? They gave me volume, so I'm looking at this formula. My volume equals length times width times height. They gave me the volume is 576. They gave me the height is 6, a width of 8, and they want me to figure out the length. So I plug them all in. Simplify, that gives me 576 equals 48L. Divide by 48, and I get my length is equal to 12 centimeters. Okay? Number 4, what is the volume of a right circular cone if the height is 15 and the radius is 3? Well, your volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. So my volume is going to be 1/3 times 3.14 times my radius squared times my height. Type all that in and you get 141.3 centimeters cubed. Okay? Number 5, what is the radius of a right circular cylinder with a height of 5 and a volume of 62.8? Well, again, your volume is pi r squared h. So my volume, which they told me, was 62.8 equals pi 3.14 times my radius, which is what they're looking for, so times radius squared times my height of 5. So if I do that, I get 62.8 equals, multiply those two together, I get 15.7 r squared. Divide by 15.7, and I get r squared equals 4, square root, and I get the radius is 2 centimeters. Okay, number 6, what is the volume of a cube that has a side equal to 4? Well, your volume of a cube is side cubed. So my volume is going to be 4 cubed, which makes my volume equal to 64 units cubed. Okay, when they don't give you centimeters, inches, anything like that, then you just say units, whatever your units are. A lot of people just write U. Okay, 7, what is the length of a side of a cube whose volume is 216 units? Well, again, my volume is side cubed. They're telling me the volume is 216, which equals side cubed. To get rid of the cube, I'm going to cube root, and I get a side is equal to 6 units. Whatever those units are in. Okay, number 8, what is the height of a rectangular prism whose volume is 350 centimeters cubed, length is 10, and width is 7? They give me the volume of a rectangular prism, which is length times width times height. Well, they gave me my volume is 350, my length is 10, my width is 7, and they want me to find the height. Well, that gives me 350 equals 70h. To get h alone, I'm going to divide by 70, and I get my h equals 5. And since they gave me my units, my answer is 5 centimeters. Alright, number 9, what is the volume of a rectangular prism whose length is 4, width is 7, and height is 2? Volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. They gave me everything. My length is 4, my width is 7, and my height is 2. Type that in and I get 56, and volume is always units cubed. Okay, number 10, what is the volume of a sphere that has a radius equal to 3? Well, there's your formula for volume of a sphere. So it's going to be 4/3 times pi times my radius cubed. If I type all that in, I get volume equals 113.04. We're doing volume, so that is units cubed. Okay. 11. What is the radius of a sphere that has a volume of 2304 pi cubic centimeters? So we're talking volume of a sphere. They gave me the volume is 2304 pi, and that equals 4/3 pi times my radius cubed. Well, again, I don't like that fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. That gives me 6912 pi equals 4 pi r cubed. I'm trying to get r alone, so I'm going to divide by 4 pi, and I get r cubed equals 1728. To kill the cube, I'm going to take a cube root, and I get r equals 12, and we are in centimeters, so my radius is 12 centimeters. 12. What is the volume of a cylinder in terms of pi if the radius is 3 inches and the height is 9 inches? Now, notice they said in terms of pi, which means they don't want me to actually substitute 3.14 in, they just want me to leave it as pi. Well, volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So we want to find the volume, leave pi pi, my radius is 3, and my height is 9. So that gives me 3 squared is 9 times 9 is 81 pi. And I would just leave, they said leave it in terms of pi, so it's 81 pi inches cubed. Okay. Alright, 13. What is the height of a cylinder that has a volume of 768 pi cubic units and a radius equal to 8 units? Well, my volume is pi r squared h. So they gave me the volume is 768 pi. That's equal to pi times my radius squared. My radius is 8. And they want me to find the height. So I have 768 pi equals 64 pi times h. I'm trying to get h alone, so I'm going to divide by 64 pi. The pi's cancel, and my height is equal to 12. And units are just going to be units, so my height is equal to 12 units. Not squared or cubed, that's just area and volume. Okay? 14. If a cylinder has a volume of 251.2 centimeters cubed and a height of 5, what is its diameter? Be careful now here. So we're still talking volume. Pi r squared h. They give me the volume is 251.2 equals pi, which is 3.14, times my radius squared, we don't know, times my height, which is 5. So, if I can get my r alone here, so I'm going to multiply those two, so I get 251.2 equals 15.7 r squared. Trying to get r alone, so I'm going to divide by 15.7. That gives me r squared equals 16, which gives me my radius is equal to 4. If my radius is 4, then my diameter is double that, which would be 8 centimeters. Okay. Alright, so 15, what is the volume of each storage box after assembly? Well, your volume is going to be, this would be a rectangular prism, so your volume is going to be your length times your width times your height. So my volume is going to be, if you put this back together, my length would be 5, my width would be 4, my height would be 3, so my volume is 60 units cubed. Okay, the bottom one, you got to put it together. Okay, these are going to be your bases. Okay, so you have this base that is a triangle. So for volume, again, that's area of the base times the height. Well, the area of my base, if my base is a triangle, that's going to be its base times its height divided by 2. And the height of this thing is going to be 5. So multiply by 5. This is 12 divided by 2 is 6 times 5, which gives me a volume of 30 units cubed. Okay. 16. A cylindrical can has a radius of 5 and a height of 10. What is the surface area? Well, we have a cylinder, and surface area is 2 times pi times my radius squared plus 2 times pi times my radius times my height. So if I do all this math, I get 157 here, I get 314 here, which gives me a surface area of 471 units squared. 17, the volume of this sphere, I don't know why I didn't put my formula, but volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So my volume is going to be 4/3 times 3.14 times 17 cubed. If you type all that in, you get 20569.093 repeating. And it says to the nearest 10th. So the, sorry, I'm going to put that line there. What did I do? 25, 6, 9. That 9 will bump that up to a 1, which gives me a volume of 20569.1. And volume is your units cubed. Okay. Alright, 18. A sphere has a radius of 12 units. A cylinder has a height of 9 units and the same volume as a sphere. What is the radius of the cylinder? Well, volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. My radius is 12. So the volume is, if you type all that in, 7234.56. Well, then I can say that for a cylinder, the volume is pi r squared h. But it said that the cylinder has the same volume as the sphere. Well, the sphere had this volume, so it says that so does the cylinder. So 7234.56 equals pi 3.14 times its radius squared times its height of 9. Well, if I get r alone, I multiply these two, I get 7234.56 equals 28.26 r squared. So I'm going to divide by 28.26 on both sides. And I get r squared equals 256 square root. And I get radius equals 16. Okay. Alright. Number 19. What is the volume of a cube if the length of the side is 10? Well, volume is side cubed, so volume equals 10 cubed. So volume equals 1,000 inches cubed. 20. The volume of a cube is 216. What's the surface area? Well, if my volume of a cube is 216, that has to equal side cubed. So to figure out what the side is, I'm going to cube root, and I get each side is equal to 6. Okay, so then I know that my surface area is 6 times the side squared. That's going to give me 6 times 36, which gives me 216, and surface area is units cubed. Okay. Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Hopefully you got C. Okay, they want the surface area of the rectangular prism. My formula is 2 times LH plus LW plus HW. So my surface area is going to be 2 times. My length and my height would be 11 and 5. Plus my length and my width would be 11 and 4. Plus my height and my width would be 5 and 4. So that's going to give me 2 times 55 plus 44 plus 20, which gives me 2 times 119, which gives me 238 centimeters squared. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 24. It says, what is the area of each triangle in a square pyramid if the length of each side of the square base is 6 and the total surface area is 132 centimeters squared? Well, your surface area is your 4 triangles plus your base. Okay? So they told me that the total surface area is 132, which has to be the 4 triangles plus the base. Well, my base has an area, if each side is 6 on a square, that base has an area of 36. So if I subtract 36, I get 96 equals 4 triangles. And what it wants is the area of each triangle. Well, that's the area of 4 triangles. So to figure out the area of one triangle, divide by 4, and the area of each triangle is going to be 24 centimeters cubed. Squared. Area is always squared. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 9. Your volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Well, they gave me the volume is 3052.08. That equals 4/3 times 3.14 times my radius cubed. Well, I've got to get r alone. That's what they want me to find, is the radius. So again, I'm going to kill that fraction, multiply by 3. That gives me 9156.24 equals 4 times 3.14 times radius cubed. Multiply those, 9156.24 equals 12.56 r cubed. To get r alone, I'm going to divide by 12.56, and I get r cubed equals 729. To kill the cube, I'm going to cube root, and I get r equals 9 centimeters. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Hopefully you got 400 pi. What is the volume of a cylinder with a height of 16 and a base area of 25 pi? Remember, volume is the area of the base times the height. And they gave me the base area is 25 pi. And they want me to find the volume, and the height is 16. And for my answers, they don't want me to substitute 3.14. If you take 25 times 16, you get 400 pi. And that will be your volume. Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 324 pi. So it says, what is the area of a circle? Well, area of a circle is pi r squared. if it has the same radius as a sphere whose volume is this? Well, they give me the volume of a sphere, which is 4/3 pi r cubed. They're telling me the volume is 7776 pi. That has to equal 4/3 pi r cubed. I don't like the fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 to kill it. And that will give me 23328 pi equals 4 pi r cubed. Divide by 4 pi. And I get r cubed equals 5832. Take the cube root, 5832. Oh, my bad. So I take the cube root, and I get a radius that's 18. Well, that's not what they wanted to know. They want the area of a circle. Well, the area of that circle, but it says it has the same radius. So if the sphere's radius is 18, then the circle has a radius equal to 18. So the area would be pi times 18 squared. And you can tell that they left it in terms of pi, so just square 18, and I get 324 pi for my area. Okay, that'll do us for day 11. So I will see you next time for day 12.